Welcome, everyone, to the Making Work Suck Less framework page, where we explore how to make work suck less through play and positive psychology. So I get it. Like, work at times just sucks, and you just can't get around it, right? But there's a way in which to make it suck less. And that's what we're going to be exploring here, right? So I've already outlined in detail the steps that you can do in order to help your team, help your organization, help transform your culture by simply doing one of these five steps, if not all of these five steps. So I'm just going to give you an overall general, gist of what each step means and why we're bringing it up. All right. So if you're diving into actually making work suck less, the first and most important thing, especially for organizations that have made mistakes, is to actually apologize. Now, you might be like, yo, I didn't do anything. All these staffers are coming from other places where they're bringing their work trauma to now this organization. Yes, they are. And a lot of them have angst towards their past boss or their past organization. And guess who they're going to take it out on? You. So if you just acknowledge it, even if it wasn't your responsibility, if you simply just acknowledge, right? Allow them to vent and then actually validate their feelings. It's crucial to actually allowing them to feel seen and feel that someone is taking some responsibility. Meaning, if you're willing to take the responsibility of all leadership, then you're communicating to them that we won't make the same mistakes that the leadership in the past made with you. So that's the first one. Okay. Then the second, and mind you, all of these steps logically easy to understand, hard to implement. You have to check your ego in order to do these. You have to do things that not only are outside your comfort zone, but frankly, you're like, I don't even know if this is going to work. This is why this is through play and positive psychology, because you're experimenting here. You're trying things out. You're seeing what actually resonates and what doesn't. But I guarantee you, if you acknowledge the hurt that staff have received in the past and you're willing to validate that, all of a sudden you're already building a certain level of trust. All of a sudden you're already building psychological safety so they feel more comfortable being themselves at work. All right, so that's number one. Number two, address the work culture that currently exists. So, work culture is defined by the worst behavior tolerated. What is the worst behavior tolerated? Are you addressing that? I have a whole link on how to deal with toxic people in the workplace. So feel free to click that link. That's a whole other steps and framework to address that. But are you actually addressing that? Because if you don't address the worst behavior in the room, that determines the culture, not your mission, not your values, not all those posters on the wall of integrity and leadership with the eagle. By the way, I feel like if you have that many of those posters, that's a red flag. So, how are you actually addressing this bad behavior? Because if you're able to address that, it raises all boats. If you don't address it, then you're basically communicating to staff, this is how you can act, or this is how at least some people are allowed to act. So maybe you are allowed to do that as well. So that's why you got to address the work culture that currently exists and figure out how do you want to raise all boats. All right, third, incorporating gratitude and languages of appreciation into your leadership. Now, this might sound corny, but it's just like, how do you ensure that your staff feels seen, heard, appreciated, valued, and understood? It's through gratitude and languages of appreciation. So the gratitude part is figuring out their why. What are they doing there? Why do they join the organization in the first place, and why do they continue to stay? Do you know that? Do you know what drives them, right? Do you know what are their most impactful moments in the last year? Find that out. That's what I mean by understanding and celebrating their successes through gratitude. And then languages of appreciation. Do you know how they like to receive? Is it tangible gifts like they like money, right? Or is it quality time? They want to just spend time connecting with you, or they want words of affirmation. So they want praise, not just within the department, but outside of the department, just in case they want to get promoted in the future, right? Figure out their languages of appreciation and give to them in that way, not in your language of appreciation, because that is where you can actually make a huge mistake. Because if you like quality time, but they like gifts, then it's just torture for them to hang out with you when they're just like, just give me more money. I don't want to actually hang out with you. Right. So, gratitude, languages of appreciation, that's the third. That begins to create the playground where then they feel comfortable enough to play. All right. Fourth, identify what are the most important conversations that need to be had. What are those hard conversations you've been avoiding for a year, for 5 years? Why do you keep putting them off? You know which conversations though those are, right? You know that you're avoiding it for a reason. So go practice it with some of your colleagues, practice it with your friends, get reps because as I say a lot, in football, they play a 3 hour game, but they practice all week for a 3 hour game. Why are we not doing that at work? Practice these hard conversations and then have these hard conversations because then at least there's some momentum that can be created. Whether that is the momentum of someone being like, well, I guess because I had that hard conversation, I'm thinking about leaving, or I had that hard conversation and now I feel not only that I want to stay, but I'm more committed to the work. So, what hard conversations are you avoiding? And are you ready to have those conversations? If you're not, practice them and then have those hard conversations. And then, lastly, allow for the playground to be built and then allow for the play. Don't force the play. That's forced fun. I hate forced fun. What I mean by play is allow your staff to tap into their zone of genius. What is the work where they forget about time? What's the work they would do even if they weren't getting paid to do this work, right? What are their play values, the things they love to do as a kid, and how does that tie into the work that they do now? Create that atmosphere where they can play on their terms at their time, not when you want them to play, but when they want to, and allow for that innovation, that creativity, the risk taking, the experimentation. As I've mentioned many times over, organizations like Google at one point used to have a 20% rule where they would allow their staff to do whatever they want as long as it benefited Google. And what came from that Google 20% rule, allowing them to play a fifth of the time? Google Ads, Gmail, Google Earth, Google Maps, the foundations of Google came from play. So, how are you allowing your staff to play in their way, right? Through their style, their personality, when they want. And when you do that, you create a culture that is actually a place that people want to be a part of, a place where work doesn't suck so much. And it's a place where now your staff can do their most vibrant work. That's how you make work suck less. I hope this is super helpful for you. Feel free to message me if you have any questions, and I wish you luck. Take care.